Hello and welcome back to the Extra Innings podcast or baseball show. Sorry, we are a podcast that covers baseball, and we are back again. I have my co-host here, a man who does not need any introducing, who is our friendly neighbor and your friendly neighbor, except maybe not the guy across the street. It's Jordan Wiegand. Hey, Jordan.
I'm good. Thanks for the timely introduction here.
Yeah.
As I am hiding out of my house, terrified what could possibly happen.
Yeah. Won't you be my neighbor?
But yeah, I feel pretty good. The music, adding the music into this when we record now too, really gets me in the mood to talk some baseball.
It's probably one of the coolest intro videos that we've ever done. It is the coolest one we've ever done, to be honest. We only have like 3, so it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a lot, but yeah.
You've got like 36 of them. Yeah, I've got 3, and Jordan's got about 36.
301, yeah.
Yeah, but I still love that. And somebody asked me, it's one of my students, how many podcasts do you have? We have 1,400 or 14,301. I was like, no, but my friend does. Which is where we get our name. But anyway, Jordan, how you doing? Everything good besides the parking issues and things?
Yeah, for people that don't know, I guess I'll just briefly mention here. Nice catch here, by the way. We're watching this Rays Boston game as it's going on. But game 4? Yeah,
game 4.
But last night, the last few nights, there's been a truck parking in a no parking zone in my neighborhood. And they are kind of like double parking and like blocking their own car, I think. But the way that they're parked, makes it tough for cars coming from the stop sign to park. I don't really have this problem because I usually pull in, like it's far enough away from me where it's not a problem. But some of the neighbors that are right there, it's been getting in their way, and they've been leaving notes the last 2 nights on the truck. And for whatever reason, I think those neighbors across the street think it was me, because after I left for work, they came banging on my front door, my wife said, at 7:30 a.m. She didn't answer it, but I can only assume that's what it's about. I mean, why else? I have not done anything else. I've never even spoken to these people, so I'm not even sure what else I could have done to offend them. But that's what I've been going through. So it's been a little stressful, having to worry about, some sort of interactions. But other than that, it's been fun. It's been fine. It's been good. Watching lots of baseball this weekend, this whole week, I guess.
Yeah. Is the weather cooler? That's always a fun one for me to ask.
Yes, it is. I'll read okay, what's your guess here? I'm going to read the weather.
Yes. I'm going to say you guys are I'm going to say 58 right now.
No, we are in 66 territory.
Oh, dark.
It's been cloudy the last 3 days. The last 2 days has been drizzling, Seattle or London style, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's what we're like here right now in old Maryland.
Yeah, so we can get caught up on all the things that are happening in baseball. I think the last time we talked to you was the preview, so a lot has happened, Jordan, and maybe to your dismay. Mine, I know, but yours definitely. I think the only good thing that happened for Jordan is that the Yankees were eliminated, and that's the first game we'll talk about, Jordan, back on Tuesday, October 5th, which was last Tuesday. It seems like a long time ago, but a lot of baseball in between, and when you watch a lot of baseball, it really feels like a long time ago.
It's like the postseason's been like 10 weeks at this point with how many games they've played.
And how wild they've been, too, as they've gotten further into the postseason. But let's talk a little bit about it, Jordan, just because I want to get a couple of your thoughts on this game in particular. I want to start with the Yankees, who were eliminated by the Red Sox. This was at Fenway. It was 6-2. The Red Sox grab a early lead and held on to it. The Yankees try to rally back a little bit, but it was too much. The Red Sox were just too powerful. And one thing that I wanted to ask you, Jordan, because you are a fan of the AL East, maybe not the AL East, but the Orioles, and I wanted to ask you about Garrett Cole, because I know that's been a hot topic. Garrett Cole, if you don't know, signed a massive contract, $324 million prior to the 2020 season. This is a guy, Jordan, that they brought in hoping that he would continue his run that he had with Houston and that he had with Pittsburgh prior to that. What are your thoughts on Garrett Cole? 2 innings, right? a guy that they relied on getting them through this wild card game and into the postseason and make a better run. 2 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 base on balls, and had just the 3 strikeouts. What do you think of his performance here in this in this game?
Not good. I don't know how else to say it. Look, you don't really want to bring up money a lot of the times because you can say he earned it in previous times, or it's not our money to spend, right? But the fact is, he was paid a lot of money, like $300 million for this Yankees deal, to be the Garrett Cole of the Astros. And he has not been doing that, especially since they've cracked down on the sticky substances. I forget what stat I sent you that day, but he hasn't been as good since then. His spin rate's down. It's kind of come back up a little bit, but still not at the same level. And I think he hasn't had as many wins since then either. So it wasn't great from him. Like you said, 2 innings. This was we were actually expecting a little bit more from him. I do want to say I was close to the right score line, just the wrong team. I had 7-1 as the score line, 6-2, but I had the Yankees winning. But I think Yankees and Red Sox both have not been very consistent, and in this case, it was the Yankees that were very inconsistent and cost them the spot here in this one-off.
Yeah, so Garrett Cole, it just felt like there were times where he just wasn't hitting spots, and it was most of the time, actually. His fastball was just not there, and then his breaking pitches just weren't to the Garrett Cole levels that we were used to. He was trying to find places where he could throw them, but again, when you're not hitting your spots with your fastball and you're not finding any kind of change of speed successful, it's difficult to try to get these guys out, especially a Red Sox team, Jordan, that I think have been one of the more impressive teams when you're talking about offensive game with the Red Sox. I think that from the bottom to the top this postseason, and we'll get into a little bit more with the Tampa series just because of what's currently going on in the NL or the ALDS, and they've just hit the ball from Kyle Schwarber. Devers has been a little banged up, but he'll hit the ball when he's not hurt. Xander Bogaerts has been really good. Alex Verdugo has played pretty well. Christian Vasquez had the walk-off home run against the Rays. But again, all these guys that I think, when you're watching the Red Sox, you felt like they had the better overall lineup. I think they got guys that get on base, whereas
their bats are coming alive too.
Yeah. I feel like the Yankees, when you're watching the Yankees, and this has been the case all season, I think, and they always are like this. They're built like this. They go for a lot of power, and if it's quiet, it's really quiet. And I think that with the Yankees, you've got guys like Rizzo, you've got guys like Judge and Stanton. Gallo's been awful. Gleyber Torres, who doesn't make as much contact as you'd like him to make. They just, from 1 to 5, 1 to 6, that's just not a lot of consistent contact. And I think with these guys, you really saw it. And I think that you saw a huge hole in their lineup. And I think that's where the Yankees have to get better in the offseason. I think they've got to get guys that set the table for all these big boppers, because they just, 1 through 5, they've got nothing that are going to set the
Here are their hits, okay? 6 hits. Aaron Judge, Rizzo, Urshela, and 3 Stanton hits.
Yeah.
3. One of them a home run, Rizzo hitting a home run too. But Stanton going 3 for 4 and having half of his team hits. After all the shtick he's gotten since moving to New York, it's actually pretty ironic. But but really, lately, it's only been Judge and Stanton who's been hot for them. And in this game, it really only carried over to Stanton. And not only, 3 out of his 3 hits, 1 was a home run. 2 of them could have been home run. 2 other ones could have been home run. They hit the wall. If it wasn't the Green Monster there, you probably have Stanton with 3 home runs in that game, which is insane.
Again, it always goes to the fact that you look at this Yankees lineup, and while they tried to build as much power as they possibly can, Rizzo, when he's not hitting, it goes quickly. And I wanted to kind of see maybe in another series, because being a Cubs fan and haven't been a Cubs fan for that long, I know Chris Bryant and Rizzo, the reasons why we didn't have such huge postseason runs is because sometimes these guys would just go quiet. I know in 2015, the biggest thing with us, we couldn't hit. I mean, you had Kyle Schwarber, you had those two. They never hit that well when they were with the Cubs in the postseason. And again, I think Rizzo hits a home run. Schwarber seems to fix everything. Chris Bryant's played really well, so it seems to be maybe a Cub issue. But it was more of the fact that like this Yankees trade deadline was focused on let's bring in more big power hitters that are lefties, and they really didn't focus on guys that were going to set the table. Rizzo was hitting like 250 when he was traded over. He doesn't set the plate as well as he used to set the plate. And he's a 3 hitter. Like they've always hit him first or second just because the way the Cubs lineup was. But, and then they bring in Joey Gallo, I think he hit like 199 in the last 2 months, which is just not sustainable for a team that's trying to push into the postseason. But again, I think when the Yankees turn this lineup over and they have to go out and get some piece in the offseason, I think you've got some big boppers that play well, but I don't know if this lineup can do it, Jordan. I think they've got to look for something else because I'm not sure this is quite the answer after a couple of years. And maybe Aaron Boone is somebody you have to start looking at and saying, okay, here you are. You've led us. I think they've had 1 series win since he's been there. So it's been.
And I think his contract is up anyway. So they might be an easy split.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to watch in the Bronx this year and going into this winter meeting what they can find. I think they're going to have to find some contact hitters, guys that could set the table. But we'll move on to the NL. NL wild card, the Dodgers eliminate the Cardinals 3-1, and there goes my team that I had picked. I've had a lot of predictions go wrong and definitely awry, but we'll get to those. But the Dodgers, Jordan, they come in and they handle business after winning 106 games. You know what? I kind of felt bad because I was like, I would really feel bad if the Dodgers had gone out on a 1-game wild card. And we can kind of talk about this with this team because this is where the conversation comes in. But I felt bad because if the Cardinals had won this game, which they looked like in the first couple innings, I think through the 4th, they had held the Dodgers down. They were up 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th. The Dodgers get a run. But I felt bad because I was like, if the Dodgers get eliminated, they've had all these wins this season, and they lost. They go into second place, and they're in the wild card game because the Giants won 107. So it was like, what really did you want out of this series? A lot of people on the Dodgers just because they felt like the Cardinals didn't really deserve to be there. What are your thoughts, Jordan, on next season, them trying to either redo the formatting of the MLB playoffs, or do you think they should keep it the same and maybe throw in 3 wild card games, maybe keep it the same? What are your thoughts on these wild card one-offs?
One-offs create fun, crazy stuff that, like you said, it could have led to the Dodgers getting bounced out anyway without having to overcome anything. But it's also part of the downside, right? Like if a team like the Dodgers won 106 games and got bounced due to the wild card format being 1 game, and not every team goes undefeated, so obviously there's a chance that you're going to lose that game. It's rough. And look, I'm an Orioles fan that has seen in 2012 and 2016 his team get through the wild card. 2012 made the wild card past the Rangers. In 2016 lost to the Blue Jays. It didn't even feel like we were in the playoffs in that second set. In 2016, losing to the Jays, like it's 1 game and you're like, it's over now. That's why I made sure I bought my playoff merch before that game. But just to say we were there. But I think 3 games would be great. I really do. Of course, that extends things a bit. And also you have the teams that have already qualified. So maybe that's too much of a rest time. I don't know. But I think 3 games would be great because it could be done in 2. Boom. You're done. 2 days back to back or whatever, all hosted by the higher seed. So you don't have to worry about break days or travel days.
Yeah. So I was like listening to a bunch of people debate on this one. And you know what I think the perfect fix is? And I heard somebody mention it. I think it was on Dan Patrick, and I forget exactly who he had on, but he was talking about possibly award the people the division, right? Give them their little pennant, give them their flag, let them hang it, let them say, hey, we're the kings of this division because we've survived, like the Braves. Give them the pennant, but then take the teams and then re-rank them, put them in order based on their wins and losses, right? If there's a tiebreaker, then you go to head-to-head in division, I think, or in the league. So like the National League, how well they played with the record against the National League, and then kind of restructure it like that. And then you can still do the one-off wild card game against the 2 lowest ranked teams, which I was like, okay, like that actually makes sense to me.
I don't like that.
You don't like it?
No.
Why? Because like it just doesn't.
I don't like re-ranking or anything. I mean, win your division. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like the fact is, let's say. So who would have been? Let me look at the standings. So if we did this in the American League,
the Braves would have gone into, well, in your guys' sense, it would have been
the 2 teams that still ended up going in there. But
Yeah.
like a team like the White Sox could have almost have not had any home games because of, I mean, it's punishing a team for how bad or how good their division is, I think.
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
You know, or how strong their schedule was. And I don't know. I think it's a little unfair. The Dodgers know what they're getting into at the beginning of the year. They were expected to win that division, and they had 19 times to beat the Giants to get that division, as it came down to a one game difference. So I just think, 3 games would be more fun to kind of take out some of the randomness, I guess, or to make teams actually feel like they're there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because even if you re-rank them and you have a team like the Braves that won their division and is actually looking to win the series against the Brewers, if you re-rank them and have them go into the wild card and they get bounced out, it doesn't even feel like they did anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like.
I don't know if there's a perfect way to do this.
I don't think there ever will be, but I just don't like the fact that, like, I guess there could be a rule where I just really don't like the fact that, I mean, the Braves and them, there could have been a chance that they could have gone almost just above 500 and won that division. So it's just, yeah, but they play the NL pretty evenly. I mean, you do play a lot more of your division, but again, their division was so horrible. You should have had 90-some wins. So I don't.
Yeah, I feel like you're taking stuff away though if you don't let the person that won their division.
But what are you taking away? Like you're not taking. So when a team, so they already rank you. So like when you only get the third team gets advantage over in case they've somehow played the wild card team later on. Like, and that hardly ever happened. I mean, it happens, but it doesn't. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like.
I think winning your division deserves you to get right into the DS to the divisional series.
So then then do the 3 games, because then then it makes sense. Like then I feel better, because then it's not like a one-off, and because you can have a lights out pitcher for one game and be the worst team in the whole thing, because you could have one lights out pitcher throws 6 innings, goes 5 innings, whatever he goes, and you have a good bullpen and they do well that game. And
I mean, Scherzer started off rough and Waino started off really good, and then it kind of got out of hands when you go to the bullpen.
Yeah, and speaking of, it was Chris Taylor who hits that bomb in the bottom of the 9th to send the Dodgers into a really, really fun series with the San Francisco Giants, a series that I have not been able to catch a ton of innings
because it's 9 o'clock every time. But let me say, my favorite Dodger, Chris Taylor.
Yeah,
I just love this guy. Every time I watch him play, even in the regular season, he just looks like just a fun guy to watch play at times. Mm-hmm. He's like, put your head down, just do your job type of player, and I like that.
He's a gamer, and I know that he's used sparingly, and I think that shows you how deep and talented this Dodger roster is. The fact that Cody Bellinger has been hurt and has not been but a shell of himself that he once was, and the fact that they're so good and so talented just speaks to the tremendous job that the front office has done, because a lot of those guys are built in. I know Justin Turner was found off the streets. The guy almost retired before he was given a chance with LA. Bellinger they found. They had Jock Peterson, who's been lighting up the postseason, who's now with the Braves. They go and get Max Scherzer. They go get Trey Turner. It's just a class.
All 3 of their runs too were the home runs. I didn't really realize that, because you had the Justin Turner one that tied it up, which was just a bomb. Absolutely.
So Waino tried to do what he does best, but he couldn't get it done with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are eliminated, and they will join the rest of the NL Central on the beach in Jamaica, or anywhere their travel restrictions are not there.
Cardinals would have been a good moving
fun.
on, but
Yeah.
a good story. But I just love Dodgers Giants team matchup. I mean, I think that's just so much fun.
Yeah, and we'll get into that now because we'll move on, and let's let's just start with the NLDS, and let's start with the Giants and the
Sure.
Dodgers. So, Giants, Dodgers. We talked a lot about this, previewing this. We wanted to see this, Jordan, as much as we wanted to knock the Dodgers out because we thought it'd be a fun story with the Cardinals. I think all of us wanted to see this, and we're getting a good series out of it. Right now, the series is tied 1-1, and they will play later on tonight. They play, or is it tonight? No, it's tomorrow. Sorry. Tomorrow, 9:07. Is it tonight?
Yeah, it was 4 games tonight until the one got rained out.
Yeah, I was looking at the one for tomorrow. No, we're looking at today, so 9:37 p.m. And that Giants game that Giants series is 1-1. They tie the game, or they tied the series. They split this series what was it? Yesterday? Sure. Was it they play Friday? No, that doesn't make sense. Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. Sorry. So they split the series, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be a fun one, just because I think the Dodgers going into or going back home, you really stack the cards. I think against this is the 5-game series, so they're stacking the cards against San Francisco. Going back home, Jordan, do you think that the Dodgers are able to pull out a win here and then maybe not even go back to San Francisco in this series?
Anything is possible. I mean, the Giants, started off that game 1 with 4-0 win. Logan Webb pitching really well. And then you have game 2 go the total opposite way, 9-2, right? Kevin Gausman, former Oriole, loses that game. It really is just a straight up toss up, I think, on what could happen. We've seen a lot of pitchers with really short leashes recently too, which has been interesting. And I mean, I have to look to see who the probables are tonight. But I mean, people already know if they won or not by the time they're listening to this. So I don't know, but we're at 1-1. It's been a great series, and they're in LA, you said?
Yeah, it's going to LA.
So it's 2-2-1, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think honestly the Dodgers could, but I think this one might go 5.
I think you might be right. So Max got the ball tonight against Alex Wood. Alex Wood pitched pretty well this season. He's 3.38 or 3.83 ERA. But you're going against a Max Scherzer that was dominant in the season. I thought he pitched pretty well against the Cardinals to hold them to 1 run after they had been on a real hot streak with the bats. And anytime you have to face Max at LA, I just don't think it's a good mix. That being said, I like the Giants lineup, but I'm not sure. I don't know. They need to get past this game. They go, if they win this game against the Dodgers, then I've got utmost confidence in that the Giants will win the series and might not even let it get back to San Francisco. Because when you go 2-1 on these series, it almost takes away that oomph that you have as far as home field advantage. I feel like when you get that way, or a 3-1 and you're having to go play on the road, if you're down 3-1, it's just a disaster. Or even if you're playing at home, it kind of takes away that home field advantage too. But they got a huge win just the other night, and I think that when you look at the game, it looked like the Dodgers were finally starting to get back into control of things. And I think, this is a Giants team, Jordan, that performed 31.5 games above expected wins. Their expected wins were 75.5. They end with 107. A team that's built with guys that aren't your household names. I mean, you're talking about an Evan Longoria who's at the end of his career, who hits, 6th, 7th, 8th in that lineup. You're talking about Brandon Crawford, who many wrote off as, he's a good defensive shortstop, but can he really play at this level and perform as a star? And he's played extremely well this season. Buster Posey's had a really good postseason, hitting 500, home run, and 2 RBIs. Chris Bryant has his own home run and an RBI, and he's hit the ball extremely well and extremely hard every time he touches it. Tommy Listell has been really good. Former Cubs, just hurting my heart. So it seems like San Francisco has the bats figured out, whereas I think there's some times in the Dodgers lineup, Jordan, that I think that you can kind of find some holes when they're struggling. And by struggling, Justin Turner's not hitting well. Corey Seager's not hitting well. Trey Turner's not hitting as well as he was throughout the season. And those are three really big bats that they really need. And I think,
let's talk about Bellinger has not had a good season this year at all. And he's going into like a free agent year, I think.
He is.
He has not been good at all this season. Really fell off a cliff this year. People are a little worried about, him contract-wise.
Yes.
Like, is he going to be able to get his money that he, originally people would think he deserved? He won like an MVP a few years ago. So it is, it is crazy to kind of see what's going on there. And I mean, even Mookie, I don't think has been hitting well in this postseason.
Mookie's hit 417, one RBI.
In the postseason?
Yeah. One stolen base. He had a couple of hits this last game that.
Okay, I was gonna say the first game he did not do well. Yeah.
Well, this was so when you get into those games where you're starting to pound teams like 6-2, those hits, while they're good to stat pad your stats, they're not coming at times when there's guys been on base, and that's really been the issue. They've not had guys on base. Max Muncy not being in the middle of that lineup, Jordan, is just like it's brutal. I mean, to have to play Albert Pujols, who was. What's sad is he was probably one of the best postseason hitters that ever played for the Cardinals. He hit 320. He's hit 321 and 280 at bats in the postseason. He has 19 home runs and 54 RBIs. His OPS is 1.026. Like, that is an outstanding number. But because he's on that latter part of his career, he's 41, having to play first base in a time where he should definitely only be a DH, and he can't do it, and it shows, and it's that's a big hole. Max Muncy left in the middle of that lineup where I think you could get a lot of RBIs, a lot of hits, and it just doesn't seem like this Dodgers lineup is as stout as it could have been coming into the postseason. So that's where my concern is with them. Yeah,
I mean, looking at Bellinger, I just found more stats here. Batted 165 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Had a 239 in 2020 and 305 in his MVP season in 2019. Won Golden Glove, Silver Slugger, All-Star, Rookie of the Year in 2017, batting 267. He had, in 2019, 47 home runs, 12 last year in a short season, and only 10 this season in about 107 more plate appearances from last year. So hit less than last year with 100 some more plate appearances. So he's really kind of fallen down, and there are some holes in these Dodger lineups, but when they're hot, they're really hot.
Yeah, and I think that with baseball especially, I think you see the best teams that are hot roll through the playoffs. I take, for instance, like when we get to the Red Sox, right now they just seem like, even when the Rays have seemed to have pinned them down, they get right back up. It's like, that's not good. And when you've got a team that's just rolling offensively and they've somewhat figured out pitching, and it's different between the NL game and the AL game. Like, if you look at the scores, you can kind of tell where the lopsidedness is just because they don't have the pitcher in the lineup. It does kind of skew things, but I think when you look at the lineups right now, I think you see a Red Sox team that's really hot and a Dodgers team that could normally get like that. But I just think with the pieces that they're missing currently, I just worry about them against a San Francisco team that always seems to find a way in the playoffs just to win. I think it was every other year since like 2000. I want to say it was 2012, 2014. And then I think they were going to go for it for 2016 before we eliminate them. And it would have been every other year that they won the World Series. So it was like, it just seems like they built success there and sustained success, and they just know how to win the postseason. Yeah. Moving on, though, we will talk now about a series that I completely got wrong here with the Braves and the Brewers, where I predicted the Braves would only score one run and get swept. However, it does not look like that. And it actually,
what was that, like the first or so inning in the first game? I don't know. It was like early in that first game at some point they scored a run, and I tagged you in it.
Jordan, I don't remember asking you that. No, but the Braves have gotten good pitching, and that's been the biggest difference in the series. When you look at the Braves, they go up 2-1 today.
Yeah.
On a Jock Peterson 3-run blast. His second pinch hit
October.
home run of the series. The Pearl Necklace, baby, the 3-run homer. Did you see this hit, Jordan?
Yeah,
it was a rifle. Somebody tweeted, I think it could have brought down a plane. It was a shot. And Peterson hits it, opening the scoring in the fifth, 3-0, and then they never look back. Again, it seems like the Braves, unlike some of these other teams, are getting clutch hits when they're needed. And I think that's been the biggest difference when you look at the
Brewers
series.
had really good pitching in game 1, and since then it's been, Braves, they won that first game, which was a do I have it? I
2-1 win.
2-1 win. Charlie Morton losing.
And I thought Morton pitched extremely well. I mean,
yeah, he did. I mean, that's what is absolutely crazy about this. And you had who else?
Max Fried's pitched. Max Fried's pitched for the Braves, and he pitched extremely well. Will Smith, the actor, has pitched. And done extremely well. Yeah, I'm shocked that he was pitching so well, but no, they just seem to be getting the pitching that they needed. They got 5 really solid innings from Ian Anderson today, and that was the difference. No runs given up, and I think when you look at the Braves bullpen was something that they were concerned about going into the deadline. They went out and got a couple arms, and it's helped. And I think that with the Braves, you've got a pitcher in Will Smith that's going to come in and shut down games. And now you're looking at a team that has gotten hot pitching, which is very odd in today's game because it just seems like everybody's just scoring a lot of runs and not really worried about pitching. Like Jordan said, I think, Jordan, I've watched at least 8 games or 9 games so far that have been like the starter last like 3 or 4 innings.
Yeah.
And then he's out. They're gone. And it's mind-boggling to me because of how much the game has changed. And I remember when they were talking about this in 2016 when the Cubs got there, because they had the Indians who had done that, where they had it was like Andrew Miller and I forget who the other 2 were on the back end of it, but there were like 3 relievers right back to back to back. And it was like, if you got to the 6th inning against the Indians and you didn't score, it was probably not going to go well. And I feel like it's the opposite now. I feel like you've got a starter and then you've got like middle relief guy that's the big difference. If that person can come in and pitch.
Now we have this thing called bullpen games, right?
Yes.
Which just recently started, right? But now everybody has a bullpen game at some point where like the Rays started this where they're like, the starter of this game, we're just going to start with one of our bullpen guys, go like 3 innings and go to the next bullpen guy and go 3 innings and then go with the next bullpen guy and go 3 innings and that's it. We're done. We're saving an arm, and the Orioles done that a lot this year because of their pitching issues. And now it just seems like that's a thing. Like, we got a bullpen game today.
It's just odd because I know in playing, like it was just so difficult to you almost have to have that so calculated out because of the way that pitchers are. They have to be ready even when they're relievers. And I know they're always like, well, everybody in the bullpen needs to be ready at all times. But there comes such preparation when you're talking about pitching 2 or 3 innings, and they're getting thrown into innings now, Jordan, that like they're not used to getting thrown into. Like you're like setup guys not used to getting thrown in the 7th inning or the 6th inning. And I think that's been part of the problem. And we'll get to the White Sox later because they have Craig Kimbrell, who they've just destroyed because he was probably the best closer in the game with the Cubs and had one of the best seasons as a closer. And now they put him in that 8 role. And he's just not as dominant. He's given up a ton of runs, and he's been that way ever since July when they got him. So it's just been a disaster, I think, for some of these teams to try this, whereas other teams are very successful at doing it. And I don't think the game's there yet, but I do think they are getting to a point where that's going to become more often, where they have these bullpen days where they just go out there and do what they need to do with the bullpens and see what happens. But again, I'm not a huge fan of it because think about it. If you had 2 or 3 really good starting pitchers, which the Dodgers do, they don't really need to worry about how bad their bullpen is. I mean, they get 6, 7 innings in, and and with baseball, you get those gaps in postseason where you can have a pitcher who's pitched the first game, pitched the fourth game or the third game. Like it works that way. But with this, I just feel like it's so scatterbrained and like, I don't know. It's a lot of moving pieces that I'd be really nervous about trying to work in together. All right, so Braves lead that series 2-1, and they have a chance to win that series in Atlanta. Is that tomorrow that they play? I want to say it is tomorrow. Yes, Tuesday, October 12th, tomorrow on TBS at 5:07. The Braves and Milwaukee, Atlanta hoping to close out that series. I think it looks like it's going to probably be, if I had to guess, if they went by series, it'll. So
we both had the Brewers.
Yeah, but I'm looking at who would start. I'm guessing it'd be Charlie Morton for the Braves, and it'd probably be
tomorrow.
Peralta, maybe for Brewers with that much rest in between. I guess. I don't know.
It doesn't have any probables listed. I can try to check MLB.com.
Yeah, because that's where I am, and I think it looks like. I mean, it looks like if they're going to do what they normally do, they'll definitely try to throw some of their better arms again tomorrow.
They'll do a bullpen game.
Or do a freaking bullpen game. God. I hope not. It's just, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's ruining the game, but it's kind of ruining the game. Anyway.
Oh, you heard it here first. How many episodes in? 6 episodes in. And Logan says it's ruining the game.
I'm going old crotchety man on you. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I think if I've got to guess tomorrow, Jordan, I'm going to guess that Charlie Morton gets the start for Atlanta, and I'm going to say that the Brewers are going to go back and throw. What is it? It's Corbin Burns. So I think it'll be that matchup tomorrow because the Braves will definitely want to close it out. And I think you do that with Charlie. And now that they only pitch like 4 or 5 innings, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Just keep throwing guys out there. But I think that the Braves, Jordan, what do you think? Braves take the series tomorrow? Or you think it goes 5 games?
What did I say? I said Brewers in 5. I still say 5. I'll say 5 games.
What did I have?
You had.
I had the Brewers winning. Sweeping.
Brewers in 3. That's right.
I just wanted you to say
nope.
it again.
I had White Sox in 4 if we want to move over to that one because that's not going to come true.
All right, so the White Sox and Astros, who had a game rained out today, and that's what happens when you play in Chicago in October. It's nasty out. So, yes, the White Sox and Houston series. Houston leads 2-1 over the Sox. The Houston Astros had a 2-0 lead heading back to Chicago, Jordan, and I'm not going to lie to you. I thought that game was over. I looked yesterday before I went to bed. It was 6-6, and I honestly was going to bed thinking the Astros are going to sweep the White Sox and send them packing. However, the White Sox had a different story written out, and they score 6 runs, all combined after the 4th inning or something crazy. It was like 6-6 in the 4th, and then the bottom of the 4th, they throw up a crooked number. They get 9 runs. It's 9-6 in the 4th, and then they score 3 runs in the 8th to seal it completely. But this is
a little bit of controversy.
Yeah, and what is the controversy, Jordan? Because I was probably asleep during all of it, but
there was. I think when it was 6-6. I think it was when it was 6-6. There was a play at the plate, and as the first baseman's throwing it home, it hits the runner going to first on his sleeve. It doesn't actually change much of the trajectory. I don't actually think it affects anything. I don't think they would have gotten him out at home anyway, which I guess is why it wasn't called. I don't really understand, because you would say it's interference, right? I mean, he was on the grass. He wasn't even in the line. So
if you're out of the base path and you get hit with the ball, you're out.
But I'm assuming it was such a slight hit with it. I'm guessing they couldn't tell at first, but I'm pretty sure they reviewed it. I don't know. I know they conferred about it, but I'm not sure if there was a review. I was folding some laundry while I was watching this part, so I'm not 100% sure on if that was why it wasn't overturned or not. And, my wife was confused about the whole situation. She's like, why would that matter? That's stupid. And I was like, it just does. It's baseball. I don't know. Just,
Baseball
they don't want
has a
you
lot
to
of
do
rules.
this. They want you to just jump in front of it so they don't get the out at home, obviously. But in this, it was such a little thing. I don't think it really changed the trajectory enough for Houston fans to really be complaining about it.
Mm.
Now, when you look at the White Sox, I think they had a bad record away from home, and a good record at home.
Yes.
So they might even win tomorrow and then lose Game 5 in Houston, which would be a bummer for them. But with the way that they play at home and the way they play away, I think I could see that happening. They'll give me just enough hope that Houston's going to lose, and then they'll lose in Houston.
So here's another thing, Jordan, that I don't know, and this is where I thought you were going with this. Did you see the report that Ryan Tepera, who used to be a Cub, was traded to the White Sox at the deadline as well? He comes out and says that the Astros are continuously doing the stuff that they had done back. What year was that? Have been 2019? 2018.
It was 2018 or
2018.
I think 2017 World Series was when it was, but 2018 I think they've been rumored to do stuff too.
Yeah, so I think it's 2017, 2018, and now Ryan Tepera comes out and he claims that the Astros are continuing their little issues at home, and there's some weird stuff that goes on at home.
I will say he wasn't that outspoken about it. He was very what's the word? Coy.
Yeah.
About what he was saying, right? He said his exact words were, if you look at, that they've done sketchy stuff in the past, and if you look at their swing and miss rates in Chicago compared to when they were in Houston, it's a little, and that's pretty much all he said, right? It was like implying, he said, but I'm not worried about what they'll do. We're worried about what we have to do. So again, he puts it back on his own team, but the implication is there.
And you knew this was going to happen. Like if you are a baseball fan, you knew this was going to continue, and it's going to continue until these players are gone. It's going to continue until Altuve's gone, until Correa's gone. Guys that were on this team that has been issues with this, it's not going to stop until they are gone. And it does suck, but it's kind of what you had coming to you. Like if you're a fan of this team, you got to expect that, right? You got to expect the fact that people, when you don't have success against the Astros, and not many do because they are, I think, a very good team. But, because people don't have that much success against them, they immediately go to they're cheating again.
Here is the punishment, right? We talked about how punishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the punishment for the Astros. No matter how good you are, no matter how far it's in the past, even when these players are gone, I think there's always going to be question marks. There's always going to be people that say, well, maybe they cheated again this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if they win the World Series again, people will probably say, well, they probably cheated. And guess what? Those players could be 100% honest and say, we're not this year.
Mm-hmm.
But you lost the benefit of the doubt. You got caught doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, that's your punishment. You didn't receive any real punishment. Your punishment's getting booed in the stands, and people always going to question whether anything going forward is legitimate or not.
Right.
Anytime you play better at home than on the road, they're going to be like, now that's a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I just said the White Sox played better at home than on the road, which, as far as we know, the White Sox have not had any cheating. So while it could just be regular statistics, people are always going to question it now. And that's because you caused it. Yeah. You cheated, and now that question is always going to hang there.
Yeah. And honestly, that's punishment, and I would say
I would not say enough, but it is punishment enough where they will be forever marked as cheaters, and there will always be the question. When Altuve's time comes, if he was ever going to be in the Hall of Fame,
he won't.
People say, "Should we?"
Yeah.
Was he actually that good? Like I said, I think it's pretty reported that he was one of the ones that didn't even really use it that much.
Yeah.
But that's not going to matter in the eyes of public opinion.
No, and honestly, it takes people to stand up to that and go, no, that is not the right way we do it here. We are not doing it that way. We will win based on our merits and our abilities. But now, like you said, they're scarred, and it's deserved because they never did really get the punishment that they deserved. Yes, you had some players and some coaches get banned from baseball, or ex-players just basically banned from the sport. But that's not enough because it was not to the players who are currently playing, who had their hand in it, who could have said, no, this is not right. We do not do this. This is a sport. This is a game. It does not matter that much. Okay. And it just sucks that we have to go through this all the time. And you're going to constantly hear this with the Astros until these people are long gone. And maybe continuously until that stadium's burnt to the ground. So I don't know. It really sucks for them, but I think it's deserved. And I think Tapara is not completely wrong in what he says. I would not be. And another thing, Jordan, that I noticed too. Did you see the? Oh crap! What was it? It was the Dodgers and Giants game. What they do? It was something weird that I know. Oh, did you see? Usually as a shortstop, and I think Tampa did it too. Usually as a shortstop, when you're checking the runner at second, when you're holding that runner on and that pitcher's back there checking, usually it's common for the shortstop to stand and kind of move with the runner and kind of get the runner's attention. This time they were standing, like, I mean, almost to where he was just like, he would look over his shoulder and like do this, like to the runner, because he was like, I'm going to get in front of you so you can't see my catcher signs, like at all. Like, I don't care if you don't know him. I'm still not going to let you see it. There's so many things now that they do because cheating is so rampant in the game, and bullpen binoculars and cameras and TVs.
Yeah, but like stealing signs from second
That's
is
always
really
been a thing.
against
No.
the law. I mean,
No.
it's just
But
the
it's
technology
an unwritten
part.
rule. Like, you're not supposed to do it.
You know what? If it's an unwritten rule, then it's not a rule, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's my whole thought process behind
Yeah.
it. Right? If there are rules, write them down. Is
Yeah.
my thing. And in the rules is there's no electronic sign stealing, and that's
Yeah.
what they had done. I don't have a problem if we talked about it last week when we talked about Kiermaier taking the cheat sheet from the catcher.
Yeah.
And that's like totally fine for me. Like, if it's something that you can see when you're on second base or whatever, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The Blue Jays were trying to say that the Orioles were stealing signs from second base. And I tell you, if we were able to do that, we're probably not only winning 50-some games.
Right.
And we're not going to just all of a sudden start doing that in September anyway, when we're trying to get the number 1 draft pick. So I think that, yeah, but my point being, if you can see it from second base, then they're not doing enough to really cover up the sign at that point. But it's when it comes to the video, because the video, they're able to relay it within just a few seconds. If you listen to, if nobody's watched it, if you look up John Boy and you look up his breakdown of the Astros banging on trash cans, it is a nice long video of you being able to hear trash cans banging just seconds after they drop the sign with nobody on base. Like, that is the problem. And it makes them be able to know, okay, I'm not going to swing at this pitch. And I wouldn't be shocked if they were still doing it now.
It's just gotten to the point. I just feel like it's a witch hunt. Like, it's common for the shortstops and stuff to try to block signs, and it's common for the guy at second to try to steal signs and give it to their hitters. But it just feels like now it's become so, because of technology. I mean, there's times where the guys in the dugout can't give signs to their catchers because they're like, so they've got them written out like step by step on what we want to do, so that way they can't tell what we're doing. So I don't know. It's just gotten to a point where it's starting to get loose, and I hope they can kind of rein that in the technology that they allow. Because, I mean, if you look at it, they've got iPads and TVs and monitors and all sorts of things in the dugout. And I'm like, how is that legal? Like, how is that? Like, how are they allowing
they don't have live feeds on it. It's usually videos of other at bats from earlier. But yeah, they don't have they can't have live video. But anyway, yeah. So I had, like I said, I had White Sox in 4. You had Houston in 5. Yours is looking pretty good. if the White Sox can steal another one tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm worried about tomorrow just because of the fact that the White Sox are going to go up against probably the pitcher that I thought had the best outing of the postseason. That was Lance McCullers Jr., and he had a fantastic game to start off their series. 6 2/3 innings pitched. He had 4 strikeouts, and I thought that he looked the most dominant of the bunch when it came to pitching as far as the AL is concerned. And he's pitching tomorrow against Carlos Rondon, who Carlos Rondon has a pretty good season himself, 2.37 ERA, 13 wins, 5 losses. His whip underneath that 1 at 0.96. So a pretty good season for the lefty there. A good pitching matchup, Jordan. But again, I think if you're talking pitching matchup and hitting matchups, I think that this game played in Chicago where the wind will be blowing in, it'll be cold, it'll be nasty. I still think it favors Houston because I think they've got the better lineup as far as all around. It's unfortunate to think that some of these guys might still be using, some of these methods that they've been using before. But again, there's still such a sound lineup when you talk about the Astros and what they can provide out there against the White Sox. And I think the White Sox, while they play good at home, I just don't know if they've got enough to kind of overcome this 2-0 deficit that they put themselves in.
Yeah, it doesn't help either that Tapura said what he said, and now what Maldonado of the Astros said. It's always great having extra motivation.
Always.
And I wouldn't be shocked if Houston comes out and start tearing it up in Game 4 to win it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have to go up against the Rays or Red Sox, I don't think that they lose. I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be really hard to keep the Astros out of the World Series.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Rays and the Boston Red Sox, I think this has been the most intriguing matchup, which is shocking because the Dodgers and the Giants playing. But there's been some wild games in this matchup. So Game 1, Tampa wins 5-0. And pretty soundly. They held them down really well. I thought they pitched really well. I thought they hit really well. They defended really well. So Tampa starts off in this. And I honestly, Jordan, I was like, oh, man, this could get real ugly for Boston. Because I was like, Boston just kind of, like I always think of the wildcard teams just sneaking in. Well, Boston had other thoughts. And I thought it was going to be a complete sweep when October 8th. So what is that? That's Saturday, right?
Friday was the
Friday.
8th,
Yeah, Friday night.
They played Thursday and Friday, yeah.
Friday night, Jordan. And this is this is the whole soccer thing too, right? You were at
Thursday I was out. Friday I was
right. Where were you Friday? You were home?
Yeah,
okay.
Friday.
I can't keep up with you this weekend, sorry. But anyway, this game was absolutely bonkers. It was 5-2 after the first inning. The Red Sox come out and are just power home some runs, and they get 2 runs. And then Tampa comes out and says, you know what, you can score 2 runs, but we'll score 5. And it was Arozarena, it was Wander Franco. It's the guys that you just expect to come out and play well. And I think it was it Nelson Cruz that had a hit too? And it was a combination of different hits. And the Rays come out, they get up 5-2. And then Jordan, I thought it was over. I thought they were going to sweep. I thought, this is that game where Tampa shows Boston, hey, we're still the kings of this division. And then it got really wild. In the 3rd inning, Boston gets 2. Then they get 4 more in the 5th. And then at this point, Boston now leads. It's 8-5. And then it's 8-6. Tampa's trying to edge back in. Boston says, no, thank you. And then it gets out of hand. It gets 14-6. Ends up being the final. 20 hits for the Red Sox. Just
a bad game.
A collection of. It was basically Kike Hernandez, and it's been Kike Hernandez for the last.
He's batting like 474.
Yeah, and as we're watching right now, Rafael Devers just hit one about halfway up the center field wall, and now they lead 3-0 in this series. They lead 3-0 the game, and may just take the series. But Kike Hernandez, Jordan, I think he hadn't gotten out for 7 straight consecutive at bats. Torches the ball in this game. He had 5 hits, 3 RBIs. And then the guys in behind him, Rafael Devers, 2 RBIs, Xander Bogaerts, 2 RBIs, Alex Verdugo, 2 RBIs, and then JD Martinez, who came back from injury after rolling his ankle, 3 RBIs, 4 hits. What is it? That's 2 through 6. Jordan had 6, 9, 12, 16 of the 20 hits. It was wild. Like, it was a wild game. Unbelievable.
I will say Thursday's game was a lot better. We had the steal home from Arozarena, which was awesome. And if you watch, I'm pretty sure John Boy did a breakdown of this too, but the way that they knew to do this, as he points out here, is that the pitcher was a lefty, right? Mm-hmm. So Arozarena's on third. He had a huge lead, and the pitcher would always come set and then stare at first base for 4 seconds. It's like nobody's there. It was just his thing to, like, as he's getting ready to pitch, he just stared straight ahead.
Right.
And for 4 seconds each time. So Arozarena knew as soon as he starts looking that way, he has 4 seconds to get home. And he starts out running when he's already like halfway to home, and he makes it easily. Because by the time that the catcher is able to say, like, hey, he's coming home, he makes it. I mean, it's close, I guess, but it's not super close. I mean, he gets in there before a tag is even applied. So,
right.
The catcher's like catching it at home as he's sliding already. So it was probably like 3 seconds, like that 4 seconds that he looks at first base really cost the Red Sox that. Now, of course, it didn't really matter. They were already up 4 at that point. That was like the 5th run. And then the next day, they go out there, win 14-6. Game 3, they win 6-3 and 6-4 in extra innings. That one has some controversy as well, and I just want to talk about this if we can here before we leave. I don't get what the controversy is about. Look, I don't like the Red Sox. I don't like the Red Sox, but I see everybody saying change the rule now. Change the rule now. If people don't know what we're talking about, the Rays had a person on first base. They had one of their players hit the ball, falls short of the wall, bounces, hits off a Red Sox player, and then over the fence. Unintentionally, by the way. The Red Sox player is not like throwing it over the wall. And it made the runner from first stop at third because they only get the 2 bases. And that was it, right? And then that was already 2 outs. It's bottom of the 13th or whatever, top of the 13th or whatever. And they end up not scoring there, and then they lose like the next inning or whatever. But I see a lot of controversy about why is that allowed. What else are they going to do? Look, when I play softball and the ball gets stuck in the fence, or if the ball gets lost or into the road, we throw our hands up the way the Red Sox players do, and it's a ground rule double. So why, what is he supposed to do? Climb over the fence and get the ball? It's in the stands then. The fans have it. Then you have to try to, if you're an away guy and you don't have that rule, if you're an away player, if you're the Rays and this happens, and you have to jump over the fence to try to get the ball, and a Red Sox fan is like, no, you can't get this, then they're just going to run home. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's always been a ground rule double.
Yes.
I don't care if it bounces off the player or not. This happened to Tampa. Tampa was in the field this year or last year, and the ball is going down the left field line, and the player gets it, accidentally scoops it up, and it goes into the foul ball territory, and it's a ground rule double. What else are they going to do? You can't jump what rule do you change? It can't be a home run.
You can't change the rule. Like you said, it's the rule, and if the ball, like you said, if you change the rule, the ball bounces. What other fence could they really hop over to get the ball?
And this only really happens on those short fence areas, which, of course, Fenway has.
They're down the line, too.
Or down the line.
Yeah.
It comes costly here because it's such a short fence over in, right center field.
Right. I don't know. There's just nothing you can do at that point.
I saw some Oriole fans saying, that's bullcrap. We could just take the ball every time it's hit in the outfield and chuck it in the stands, and we probably would have won more games than we did. Then do it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, why not, right? But I don't know. I think then they might be like, well, that was an intentional throw. Like,
Yeah.
there would be.
Oh, you get 2+ bases, so it'd be, yeah.
There'd be some
Yeah.
controversy there, but I'm totally fine with it. I watched it and I was like, I don't know what everybody's complaining about.
Right. Yeah, so that game was wild too. And
It's a rough way to
ends,
lose.
right. It ends with the Red Sox winning that game on a walk-off home run. Kike Hernandez. Was it Kike Hernandez again? Is that right? That wasn't right. Was it Kike again? I'm blanking now.
I don't know.
Literally watched the game back on replay. Yeah. No, sorry, Vasquez. Christian Vasquez. That's who it was. It's like, it was definitely not Kike Hernandez again. No, it was Christian Vasquez. Hits the walk-off home run in the 13th inning. Ends that game 6-4. And then Jordan, right now, as we're watching, it looks like they just took the lead 5-0. I want to say they just smashed the ball off the wall. Run. Yeah, I think it's 5-0 Red Sox right now. So currently, as we stand, Jordan, it looks like the Red Sox are going on their way to eliminate.
Ooh, my World Series pick. My bracket's busted this early.
Mine's about to be busted, really busted. I had to raise.
You know what this means? This means if it's Astros, Red Sox, I'm going full NL, baby.
Yeah,
full NL, baby, for the World Series, because I cannot handle the Astros and Red Sox winning the World Series. Now, I would really love White Sox, Red Sox, because it'd be, like a Sox battle.
Yeah, like the laundry.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah, and then like
the laundry bowl.
I think the Pink Sox would be going to the World Series. That'd be nuts.
The laundry series. Can we call it that? The laundry series?
I think we've just coined it that term. We need to make a shirt before everybody else does. So yeah, Jordan, let's go over the games coming up. So currently you're watching, or you had watched, because I don't know when this is being released, Brady. What, tomorrow?
Yeah, Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 12th. All right. So currently going on right now, Boston lead Tampa Bay. It's 4-0. Bottom of the third, FS1. That's the game we're currently watching as we're recording. So if we're a little messed up, it's because Rafael Devers hit that ball up into the center field bleachers, and I was more focused on that than what was going on. Tonight at 9:37 on TBS, Max Scherzer will face the San Francisco Giants, and San Francisco Giants will throw Alex Wood. I think he's a striker for Burnley. But 9:37 on TBS. That series is tied 1-1, so that'll be a fun one, going back to Dodger Stadium. And then Atlanta beat the Brewers today 3-0. Atlanta leads that series 2-1. Tomorrow, October 12th, that's Tuesday, October 12th, for those that are listening. Houston versus the White Sox at the White Sox, 2:07 FS1. That game had gotten rained out. That was supposed to be today. The White Sox looking to cling on to what is left of their life in the postseason. I don't think they'll do it. Jordan, you said you do think they'll go 5. I believe.
Which one? The Astros?
The White Sox, yeah.
Yeah, I'll say 5.
You wanted to go 5 though, so that's probably why.
Yeah. Holding out hope.
Yeah. Game 4 of the NLDS is on Tuesday at 5:07 on TBS, and then San Francisco will be at the Dodgers. That series again is tied 1-1, 9:07 at on TBS late, and maybe, just maybe, that'll be a game that'll be clinching for one of the teams that win tonight. Wednesday, if needed, game 5s, Boston and Tampa, and White Sox and Houston. Boston and Tampa would be at 5:07, and the White Sox and Houston would be at 9:07. Right now, it's 6-0 currently, I think, as Boston's just absolutely pouring it on, or it's 5-0. Absolutely brutal. But it looks like Tampa's not going to be needing that game 5 we just talked about. And then Thursday would be the game 5 for Atlanta and Milwaukee. That game would be 5:07 at Milwaukee on TBS. And then game 5 for the LA Dodgers at San Francisco would be at 9:07 on TBS if needed. And then, Jordan, guess what's coming? I mean, it's pretty easy. ALCS starts this Friday on October 15th.
Wow.
Time to be determined, but it'll be on Big Fox, as Jordan would say, on our other
Yeah.
show. And then Saturday, October 16th, the ALCS Game 2 will be on Big Fox or FS1, time to be determined. And then the NLCS Game 1 starts on
TBS.
Saturday, October 16th. Big TBS.
Yeah, the big TBS.
Big TBS, yeah. There's no other TBS. But yeah, that'll do it for me, Jordan. Unless you got anything that you want to add on here, or
No.
we can't find the Cubs or Orioles game. So if anybody wants to comment and tag us and show us where we can find our teams, we can't ever seem to find them anymore.
Winter meetings time.
We will be streaming the winter meetings. I might be able to go to the winter meetings depending on where they are located this year. I'll have to check that out and see if they're in Orlando. But other than that,
they are this year,
yeah. Other than that, Jordan, it's been a blast talking to you. I know we'll catch up. What will be game 2 or 3 in, depending, I think, on the ALCS and NLCS next week when we go and cover what's happening in the championship series. If you want to follow along with us, we are Extra Innings Baseball Show at Facebook, Twitter at Extra Inning Show, and then Instagram Extra Innings Baseball Show. There's so many different hashtags. They're all below if you're watching, as Jordan is pointing out and doing his best Vanna White impression. And I guess, Jordan, we will catch them all later. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. And I guess go White Sox and Red Sox because we won the laundry series.
Let's go, O's. The Extra Innings Baseball Show is hosted by Logan Stump, edited and produced by Jordan Wiegand, and we hope that everybody enjoys us talking some baseball in this MLB 2022 season that is upcoming. Thank you.